David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another video. Today I have for you the next in my 5-part series of top 10 lists, broken down by price range. Now, this price range is the new addition. In previous lists, I've done pens $250 and above, but that's just such a huge pool of pens to choose from that at times it really isn't an even playing field. There can be a bit of a difference between a $250 pen and a $2,000 pen. So I felt it was more appropriate to split things up a bit. So this list will be from pens $250 to $500. This was probably my most difficult list to compile. There are so many great pens to choose from in this range. It was really difficult to whittle it down to a top 10 and a few honorable mentions. This could have easily been a top 20 list, if not more. But tough decisions were made, and I feel it was pared down to a real quality list. So in order to see what made the cut, please join me over here at camera 2. Okay, this was a really hard list to compile, and so I have quite a few honorable mentions. There was a lot of ones that were very painful to leave off the list. I'll kind of go through these quickly. First up was a Platinum Izumo. I just really love the urushi work on here, and also has one of Platinum's President nibs on it. It's just a really unique and Japanese looking pen that I enjoy greatly. Then next up we have something from Visconti, which is one of the more unique resins that I love from them, which is this Desert Springs Divina. I just love the kind of coppers and blues and whites of this material. And I like the Divina design, the twisting design. This is a filler where you pull this back and then you operate the piston when this is pulled back. And then once you're done, then you push it back. I just really love the looks of this pen. Then next up is a Sailor that I get a lot of use out of, and that is the Sailor Pro Gear. I have 3 of them right here. This one here was a special edition called the Kanreki, and then this one here is, we'll say, their standard black. And then this one here was called the Cobra, which was an exclusive through Gold Spot pens. But the Pro Gear is an outstanding pen. Next up, we have something from Matthew Martin, and this is the OG Chonk. Matthew Martin does a great job of making some metal pens, and it just is outstanding. I just really love this one. This was one of those pens, I just love this section on there. If I ever did a video of my favorite sections, this would definitely be on the list. And this is definitely a chonky pen. It has the right name. And it's a pen that I tested out a number of his that he sent me to test out on loan. And as soon as I saw this one, I knew he wasn't getting it back, that I was purchasing this one because I just liked it too much. And I kind of like the subtle color elements of this particular pen as well. Then the next honorable mention is something from Kasama, and this is the Una. This does have a rather distinctive section, and that it is made from the Ultim material, but it's out of the Philippines, and just a really unique pen that I care for a great deal. Okay, 2 more honorable mentions. Next up, in this price range, you could get a urushi pen from Wancher. This is their true urushi pen. That one is in red. This was the Akatama Nuri. Then here is one in black. And then this one here was one of my very favorites. This is the Kie urushi, to where they actually take a leaf and then they basically apply a real leaf on there. And I just really love this particular pen. That Wancher has a number of really interesting offerings in this price range. And so if you don't have a Wancher pen, especially an urushi one, it's a nice entry into urushi. And they have some really decent offerings. And next up on the list is something from Omas, which is the Ogiva cocktail. You know, I debated putting this on the list or not. I think that's why it ended up in the honorable mentions, since this pen is no longer made. It's a rather difficult to find. It just has an outstanding nib, a nice ebonite feed. This is one of the juiciest, wettest pens in my collection. And I love the overall look of it, and it performs really, really well. Okay. on to the main list. And first off, I have pens from a single creator and a single artisan that I think if you don't own one of his pens, you should check him out, and that is Ryan Krusac. And I have a number of his pens. This one here is in Cocobolo. He makes some of the nicest wood pens out there on the market today. He just does some outstanding work. I have a few of his. So that was the Cocobolo. This one was Honduras Rosewood. Again, just beautiful. And nice ebonite sections. And then this one here is in this one. These are actually Legend 16s. Actually, this is a Legend 16. This is a Legend 15. And then this is a Legend 14. And this one is in ebony wood and has a nice little insert there. This one here is one of his Oracle models, which is nice. But then I have two of my favorite ones of his. First of all, this one here is the Scrimshaw. I just think he uses moose antler on here, and he does this artwork. He doesn't do it by hand. He did it by hand once, and then it's laser engraved in, but this is his artwork. The detail on this is just amazing, and he has some really cool things to it. Now he does things with the some more engraving on the top of the cap, which is nice. He antiqued the nib for me, so it kind of goes with this rustic look to it. It's just amazing. And then my final pen from him that I really, really love is this Ebony Heartwood Sapwood, where this one particular tree actually has two different colors of wood within the tree. And so you take a piece from that bisection of the color and turn it into something like this. So this is not two separate woods. This is one wood from the same tree of different colors. And I just think that that's very cool and unique, and I love it a lot. If you don't have a Ryan Krusac pen in your collection, it's well worth something taking a look at. Okay, coming in at number 9 is a brand that it was relatively new to. Maybe it was like a year ago or 2 years ago. But as soon as I saw one of their pens and tested it out, I quickly fell in love with it. That brand is from Turkey. It is Kilk, and this is the Celestial. I just love this kind of pearlescent white here, and then the purple contrast, and this is sterling silver, just the intricate silver work here, and I love the clip as well. The section is very nice, and then on top of that, it performs really well. I've reviewed a couple of the Kilk pens. This one is the Orient, which again has a really unique band on it, which I like. And then finally, I have the Camera Laterna. This is their movie or film themed pen. Again, it has a really cool band. And also one detail that I just really love is you can see here on this countdown that the kind of, we'll call it the second hand, counts down and moves around as it counts down to 0. I just think that's a really neat option there. But anything from Kilk I have found to be perform outstanding and look outstanding as well. So I can't recommend Kilk highly enough. Next up is a pen from an artisan craftsman out of Wales, and that would be Rockster, and this is the Rockster Daydreamer. I just think this is one of the coolest materials. This is a burled maple that's basically been infused with resin, so it stabilizes it and dyes it. It's not naturally purple, obviously. And that it just really has some of the coolest texturing I've seen on a pen before. The combination of this really nice pearlescent purple resin in the section, and then the body is just outstanding. Lately, when I go to pen shows, or usually when I go to pen shows, that I'll carry a pen around with me that I feel is distinct and unique. So if I wanted to share something with folks that is maybe something they haven't seen before or something they'd like to see in person, lately I've been using this pen just because it's one of those pens that when you hand to people, then they kind of their jaw drops and they want to learn more about it. I actually just purchased a brand new one in blue, and it's slightly different, and that it has some improvements to it. It's just a slightly different design, and again, this blue material is that same burled maple, but just dyed in blue, and just incredible. So sometime in the near future, I'll need to review this pen, but both of these pens from Rockster are outstanding and highly encourage you check out. I believe mostly he sells pens on Instagram, so he's a great follow on Instagram, and that if you follow him there, then you'll be able to see his latest creations, and pretty much whenever he puts one up for sale, it sells immediately, so you need to act quickly whenever you see something that you like. Next up is a pen I reviewed this year. It was something that was given to me on loan, and as soon as I opened the box, I knew that the company was not getting it back because I loved it so much that I was going to purchase it from them, which I did. That company was Edison, and this is the Collier Grande. This is the Jonathan Brooks Primary Manipulation 4 material, which is really nice and just kind of more blended and smoothed out and wispy than some of the other primary manipulation iterations. And one of the special things about this pen, besides being just incredibly chonky, which I do like, I like large pens, is that it has a very cool number 8 Magna Carta nib on here. It performs very, very well. So a combination of this just being a very girthy, chunky pen that I like, with a decent sized section, a unique nib made from a very cool material that I like, just makes this pen a real winner for me. Okay, at number 6, we have a classic from Sailor, and that would be the 1911 Large. This is a model that's been around for quite some time, just has some nice, classic, sleek looks to it. Sailor's nibs, their gold nibs, are some of my favorite in my collection. I really enjoy them. It comes in a number of different colors. This one here was an exclusive to Gold Spot pens a couple of years ago. This was the sea glass version, but there's been a number of different colors and variations of it. It's just a really nice size, and the performance is outstanding. Okay, halfway there. Coming in at number 5, we have the Parker Duofold Centennial Big Red. You know, my last name is Parker, and for the longest time, I tried to find a Parker pen that really touched all of the bases with me and that I really liked, and I just really couldn't find one for the longest time. And then I found this Duofold Centennial Big Red, the modern version of it, and I absolutely love it. This is one of my favorite pens in my collection, and is one of my favorite Parkers. I really love the spade nib on here. It has the same design here on the top, which is cool. It's just a really cool kind of it has kind of a vintage vibe to it. I know that there's other versions of this pen which are vintage. It's just kind of the modern iteration of that, but it feels really nice in the hand. I love the stamping of the nib, and I was glad to finally find a namesake pen that I really cared for. So this Parker Duofold Centennial Big Red is definitely it. Coming in at number 4, we have 2 pens actually from another artisan that I really, really care for. That is Pen 18111, and this is the Night Sky Sakura. This is made by a gentleman by the name of Yoshi, who is an artisan out of Brooklyn, New York. And I have reviews of a few of his pens on my channel if you'd like to learn more about it or more about him and his business. I just think this is an incredible pen. This is one that I saw at a pen show. One of my favorite things about pen shows is making a new discovery. When someone asks me, when you go to a pen show, what are you looking to buy? Usually I ask, I'm looking to buy what I don't even know exists yet. I want to pick something up that I don't even know what it is yet, and as soon as I see it, I just have to have it. And that was how I felt about Yoshi's pens and this one. The incredible part about this is each of these little flowers are not painted on here. It's actual resin. With a laser engraver, basically creates little, we'll call it potholes in the pen, and then fills it in with resin. And so these are basically a permanent fixture on this pen. And the coloring on this is just beautiful. The first year I saw these, I was having a hard time deciding between this and a pink model. I picked this one up, and then next year I went back and picked up a pink model. well, which I kind of think makes for a nice pairing. Kind of have the night sky and then the same tree during the daytime. I just love this wraparound clip as well. I mean, the wraparound roll stop. I mean, that's the most unique roll stop I have in my collection. That thing's just incredible. And Yoshi's pens are amazing. He's another person to really follow on Instagram, and you'll see all sorts of unique and cool creations from him. Coming in at number 3 is a pen from Leonardo, and that would be the Momento Zero Grande. I'm going to say that this one is specifically the stainless steel nib version, which you could find in this price range. I really love the size of this pen. I've been very open about my fondness for the Momento Zero model. I like the standard model, but then I also like this larger model as well. You know, I typically am not a big fan of fine and extra fine nibs, but the extra fine nib on this particular model, this is the coffee version, is outstanding. I really enjoy it. And it's one of those things, as soon as I tested out this extra fine nib, I'm like, wait a second, what am I missing? Because this is very smooth and outstanding, and a lot different than a lot of the other extra fine nibs that I have tested out. I really love the ergonomic section, and these are available in a wide variety of colors. I've been a big fan of Leonardo pens, and the Momento Zero Grande is something that I highly recommend people add to their collection. 2 pens left, and both of these pens are pens that I feel a lot of times people have listed as their grail pens, and I feel that they're well deserved. The first one is the Pilot Custom 823. I think that it just has a lot going for it. I really like the amber version. They also have kind of a smoked one, which is a dark gray, but I prefer this one. It is a vacuum filler. I'm not aware of any other vacuum filler in Pilot's collection. The nib is outstanding. I'm a huge fan of Pilot nibs, and it just has a nice classic look to it. I usually pair this with like a darker ink or a brown ink, and you can see it sloshing around in there. I just think that while I typically prefer silver trim on my pens, I think with this brown material, the gold pairs a little bit nicer and looks really nice, and the performance is amazing. So this is definitely something worthy of being called a grail pen, and something I enjoy greatly. And finally, coming in at number 1 is a pen that I've described in the past as pretty much being a perfect pen for me, and that would be the Pelikan M805. It is called the 805 because it has the silver trim on it. An M800 will have the gold trim, so anything in the 800 series is basically what I'm talking about here. I just love a lot about this. I like the unique Pilot clip. I like the pagoda top to it. I know that's found on other models, but I love the striping here. And it's really hard to see, but you can see through these stripes, and it acts as a bit of a ink window. Even though I really have to hold it up to light to use it as an ink window. It's not the most successful ink window for me, but I love the blue stripe look. The section is a little bit on the small side, but this nib is probably the most buttery smooth nib in my collection. It's just outstanding. And I really love the blue stripes as well. They don't make the blue stripe in the M1000, or else I would probably own one. Maybe one day they'll make the blue stripe in the thousands. I think the thousands they just have in the black and then red and green I've seen them in, but I haven't seen it in the blue at all. But the M805 or the M800 is an outstanding performer that just has a classic look to it, and I think is well worthwhile as being the number 1 slot on this particular list. Okay, so there you go. That is the top pens between $250 and $500. This was the new list that I threw in here because some of these pens are outstanding, but they wouldn't quite have made a list if I would have included everything $200 or $250 and above. And so I didn't think it was fair comparing them to the next list. But if you want to see what I feel are some of the best pens over $500, stay tuned next time. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. So you kind of have a wood pen without it being too woodsy. Jenny! Jenny!